How's it going, reactors? Today, I got a reaction for you guys that deals with love, death, and robots. It is coming from Think Story. I absolutely love their explanations and their reviews on movies and TV shows. And he has a video. He had this up for quite a while. I'm just now reacting to it. But Love, Death, and Robots Season 3, Every Ending Explained. He's going to go through all the episodes and explain them. Now, I have all my Love, Death, and Robots reactions now up. They're primarily in a playlist. Alright, they're in a playlist. I'll have it linked in the description. I'll have it linked at the end of this video too as well. So if you want to see all of my reactions to each and every episode of Love, Death, and Robots Season 3, that is where to find them. But with that being said, guys, I really love Think Story. I love the jokes he makes. Him and Heavy Spoilers are primarily one of my go-to guys that I go to after watching a movie, a TV show, you name it. Those are the guys I go to right after watching something like Love, Death, and Robots. And now, it's time to reel it in.
Bloodthirsty cyborg bears, a bad case of crabs, and the girl who performed at my bachelorette party. Love, Death, and Robots is back for Season 3 with a new swarm of animated shorts that make me thankful I live in our current clusterfuck of a world. In this video, we'll be taking a deep dive into each short, and as always, I'll leave timestamps below so you can fast forward to your favorite ones. 3 Robots is our first sequel in the Love, Death, and Robots universe. If you remember back in Season 1, these guys were on a quest to learn about humanity's downfall, because if they can learn how humanity failed, maybe they won't make the same mistakes. And I gotta say, this short is the most blatantly political of the bunch, poking fun at right-wing doomsday preppers, liberal elites, and wealthy tech billionaires.
Right.
In Season 1, we learned that humanity fell apart due to its inability to combat climate change, and here we pick things up to see how various strata of society dealt with this change. It's ironic that the downfall of each of these groups becomes the very thing they once supported. For example, the poor doomsday gun-toting preppers who believed in limited government, no government healthcare, and a hell of a lot of guns, well, they'll end up living in a lawless world with no government, no healthcare, and where they live in fear of being killed by rival gun-toting preppers. We have the rich tech millionaires who converted oil rigs into their very own sovereign nations, and the irony isn't lost on me that they're now living on the very thing that brought upon the world's downfall in the first place, the burning of fossil fuels. Their reliance on technology would be their own demise, as the AI they installed worked against them and they brought no one on board that had practical skills needed to survive. Finally, there are these secret undercover bunkers saved for members of the government. As America the Beautiful plays in the background, we learned their hydroponic cultivation system failed, one run by a man named Stephen T. Millerdorf, which might actually be a reference to Tim Miller, the showrunner. I mean, it kind of looks like him. Democracy, which got these men here in the first place, will be their death when they invoke quote-unquote extreme democracy on who to cannibalize next. In the liftoff footage, in which billionaires paid to be evacuated off-planet, we can see this apocalypse takes place around the year 2025.
That's real close.
Point that if these billionaires actually pooled all their money into solving the climate crisis and making the future better for their children, they'd never have to build these ships and escape in the first place. It's a pretty bleak message and warning for the times. We have the tools to stop our dependence on fossil fuels right now, yet we don't. But the short actually ends on a light-hearted note, with super intelligent cats have taken over the Mars colony. Season 1's 3 Robots episode ended with these cats who were genetically engineered to have opposable thumbs and can somehow talk. And I, for one, welcome our cat overlords.
Because jellicles are
Jack Horseman.
Bad traveling, probably where the entire season's budget went just to pay David
For
Fincher
real.
who directed this episode. This is maybe my first or second favorite of the season.
My favorite
you
one.
can try to guess what my second one is, and that's because of what it says about humanity, greed, and making the right choice. The plot revolves around Thorin, who sees himself on a Jabal shark expedition. The Jabal shark is a coveted animal due to its secretion of valuable oil. With the ship under attack and basically held hostage by this crab-like thanopod, Thorin strikes a deal with it. It wants to be let off on nearby Faden Island in order for it and its babies to feed off this populous town. So Thorin and the crew have a choice. They can either save themselves and drop the monster off on this unsuspecting town, killing the innocent townsfolk, or they can trick the Thanapod by releasing it on a neighboring deserted island. But Thorin is cunning and finds out everyone on the ship has put themselves before the town. If he lets the crew succeed, many more will die. And the crew is pretty greedy and a corrupt lot to begin with. Even though Thorin didn't draw the short straw, they still make him deal with the Thanapod. They also try to kill him multiple times, once when he's up on the mast, and the second time while he's sleeping. Thorin's cunning proves to be his most valuable asset as he, one by one, tricks the crew into becoming Thanapod food, and eventually tricks the Thanapod itself, using barrels of table shark oil to set fire to the ship and destroy the creature, or at least the episode implies that it has died. The final image is of Thorin rowing towards the innocence of Faden Island, away from the greed and corruption of the fiery wreckage. Love, Death, and Robots' third installment this season is based off the 1999 Hugo Award for Best Short Story, The Very Pulse of the Machine. In fact, near the beginning of this short, you'll see a book called Poems of Old Earth, and the author is the same one who wrote the book this episode is based on. After her rover crashes on the surface of Jupiter's moon Io, astronaut Martha Kivelson must travel back to her lander before her air supply runs out. It's a 41-kilometer journey, and she decides to bring her dead partner along with her. Talk about a literal dead weight. It's an arduous trek with Martha having to administer drugs which cause her to hallucinate and hear the very voice of the planet itself. The voice recites lines of poetry, one of them being from William Wordsworth's She Was a Phantom of Delight, which has the line, "And now I see with eye serene the very pulse of the machine." It's fitting then that the final image of this short is the eye of Jupiter overlooking the machine that is Io, a machine which has made Martha a part of it. When Martha learns she won't make it to the lander in time, Io tells her to jump into the sulfur. Her body may disappear, but it's possible her neural configuration may be preserved. The last line is of Martha calling out to Earth, suggesting that she successfully joined with Io and became one with the planet. Of course, the ending here is ambiguous. It's entirely possible this was all a hallucination and Martha died hopped up on tons of drugs. I mean, that's probably how I'd want to go too. Night of the Mini-Dead was so damn fun.
Oh, I love this episode. I had so much fun.
Zombie genre, but presents it in a way that's visually stimulating and fun as all hell. Yeah, one of the gas stations is called Hell. Even the way the zombie apocalypse starts is pretty unique, with a horny couple desecrating a cemetery and an upside-down cross acting as a lightning conduit to awaken the dead. What starts as a small spattering of zombies quickly escalates all around the globe, including my home country of Canada, where we have a sudden death at the Maple Center, which is a nod to the Maple Leafs. However, if this were actually in Canada, center would be spelled the British way, C-E-N-T-R-E. I'm a nitpicking piece of shit. We have Shaolin monks fighting off zombies, the Pope and priests using machine guns. I didn't realize until this later, but we have freedom-loving, build-the-wall types ironically trying to get over the border wall. These little political jabs are pretty hilarious.
I just now realized
details
that.
Like the FedEx truck labeled fucks and the Go Green Save the Planet garbage truck are nice touches. Completely overrun, the US launches nukes, which Russia then retaliates, and the entire planet blows up. But it's the ending that continually pushes out from the Earth that really accentuates how tiny, or should I say mini, we are in the grand scheme of things. The medium in which this story is told, mini stop motion, becomes a metaphor for how humanity is but a tiny blip in the universe. Nestled smack dab in the middle of Season 3 is Kill Team Kill, an over-the-top gore fest that shows us what happens when we take playing God too far. In fact, the first image of the short is a soldier taking a piss over the mountainside below, proclaiming that he's an angel with the reach of God. The team is attacked by a genetically engineered grizzly bear, which we find out was a secret CIA project known as Project Barghest. Barghest is a creature from English folklore who was a monstrous goblin dog with huge teeth and claws that only appeared at night. Maybe that's why their first battle is at night, a nice homage to that. What this episode really showcases is how humanity's hubris can lead to its own demise. The perfect example of this is when one of the soldiers claims victory and is immediately mauled to death. Even the ending, which sees the bear's eyes self-destruct and kill everyone, points at the futility of playing God, as it will eventually come to bite us in the ass. The Swarm examines the lengths to which man will go to continue the human race. We start with Dr. Afriel. Afriel, a Hebrew name meaning angel of youth, or one that encourages newness and exploration.
Swarm
which is exactly what the Doctor is attempting, to explore this ancient alien race with the hopes of using it to strengthen humanity. This alien species is known as the Swarm, and are considered as close to perfectly organized as species can get, so it makes sense humans would want to study them. Dr. Afriel teams up with Dr. Galina, whose name means calm or healer from its Slavic Russian origin. She acts as our and Dr. Afriel's introduction to this strange world, whereas Galina admires the gracefulness and perfection of this organic system, which she also refers to as genetic automation. Afriel wants to harness it to bring order to humanity's expansion. Imagine if humanity were able to create their own swarm, fully decked out with millions of swarm slaves who they could program to work for them. It would be an absolute game changer. So Afriel and Galina begin a series of tests to see just how greatly they can influence the various types of species. Tests which incorporate the use of pheromones similar to how ants operate in a colony, but these tests are short-lived when the swarm finds out about their plans. You don't get to be a successful million-year-old race without recognizing an enemy is fooling around under your watch.
Exactly.
Earlier in the short, we learned that Galina recognized 15 subspecies of the swarm which could communicate using language, which she thinks is the result of the swarm having absorbed previous spacefaring races. And this absorption is what we see happen to her at the end. The swarm has made her one of them, creating a new species whose purpose in the greater colony is that of intelligence. She makes reference to this scavenger creature feeding on Afriel's vomit. Millions of years ago, this creature's ancestors were an intelligent race that fought with the swarm, but the swarm bred smarter, tougher versions of them until they became victorious. Now their offspring millennia later are stuck as scavengers to clean up vomit. Afriel is given a choice: remain an intelligent living being, likely under the control of the swarm, or perish in what the swarm calls real ugly events. Just like Afriel came to study the swarm in the hopes of improving humanity, I think the tables have now turned. The swarm want Afriel alive to study him so that when humanity does pose a threat to them in the future, they'll outmatch them every time. Afriel accepting the swarm's offer, one in which he calls a challenge, is but an example of humanity's arrogance. In fact, earlier in the short, Galina even refers to Afriel as being arrogant, and it's this arrogance which the swarm will use to its advantage to manipulate him into working with them. He says humans will never become parasites, but in accepting this offer, he unknowingly dooms humanity to that very fate. Mason's Rats envisions a not too distant future in which rats wear really cool belts. Actually, they've adapted to keep up with us pesky humans. The main plot revolves around Mason, who hires a pest control company to deal with the rats taking over his barn, and what starts as a lighthearted tale about getting rid of rats turns into a metaphor for war itself. On one side, you have Mason, fully equipped with the latest tech to take on the less equipped rats who use arrows. In fact, Mason's tech acts much like drones. They handle the dirty work while you sit back and watch from computer screens. Much of the fighting in this short we nor Mason actually see. It happens within the walls of the barn, just like drone strikes in Iraq were conducted remotely halfway around the world by American soldiers in Nevada.
That's a nice comparison.
It isn't until Mason sees firsthand the absolute brutality of his actions, full with little rat families being obliterated, that he empathizes with them. They aren't so different after all. Even one of the rats wears a Scottish tam just like him. Even though we fight each other on Earth, we seem to forget that deep down we're all the same. We're all human. The two sides sit down and in a show of friendship, have a drink together. In Vaulted Halls Entombed, the theme of war continues when a group of American soldiers attempt to rescue a hostage held captive by some insurgents. This leads them to a dangerous network of caves, revealing an ancient enslaved creature. It's bound by chains, and the pillars surrounding it are covered in glowing runes, which, when the creature touches, seem to sizzle. It's as if some great power or magic is holding it at bay. Now, I won't go over those cannibal roach things, they're merely the tomb's protectors. I want to focus on what happens once they reach this prison. The two characters who make it this far are Sarge and Harper, and when they're introduced to this thing, it lets out a piercing screech, which conjures these destructive images of what the world will become. Harper sees piles of flaming corpses and the creature amongst burning buildings. If this thing is released, as he asks to be, this is likely what will happen. It seems this creature creature has the ability to mind control, as we'll see Sarge attempt to unchain it, but when Harper tries to stop him, he attacks and is killed. It's clear he's not himself, and it's here where things get a bit ambiguous. Harper discharges her remaining bullets at the creature, but it looks as though she's about to be lulled into a mind control too. Our next shot is of her in the desert with her eyes cut out, carrying what is likely the same knife Sarge used to attack her with. If you have the subtitles on, it says she's whispering a quote alien language, basically confirming that she has or was taken over. Now I don't know about you, but if I was haunted by images of the world being destroyed, I might just scoop out my eyes too.
Tell you, I think that alien is Cthulhu. Surprised you didn't mention it.
To have some fun. Finally, we have Jabarro, and this short has been on my mind the most of any in the entire series.
Wow, really?
We start in autumn, a time of year symbolizing a transition to death or winter, which mimics what our characters go through.
Wow.
We know this is a fantastical world by these strange, almost neon-like flowers, yet it has an almost Don Quixote Spanish conquistador type vibe. The word Jabarro is derived from Puerto Rico to refer to the countryside people who farmed the land in a traditional way, and the tale itself is a reimagination of siren folklore from Greek mythology. Sirens were dangerous creatures who used their voice to lure their victims to their own demise. Before the sirens' appearance, we see the men showing their allegiance to a group of priests. Although the men appear to be here on a holy mission, it's clear their true intentions lay with greed and gold. This is symbolized in the siren, who is adorned with gold, jewelry, and various ornaments. The siren in Jabarro lures the men into a frenzy, who fight each other into the lake to get closer to her. It's a fool's errand as their armor sinks them into the depths. There is, however, one survivor, Jabarro, a deaf knight impervious to the siren's shrieks. When you watch this short from the lens of colonialism, the plot makes a lot more sense. The resource-rich siren, or the colonized in this scenario, is sought after by the conquistador, or colonizer. At first, the colonized is curious about this new group. The two even engage in a macabre love affair, only for the colonizer to take full control and rape, both figuratively and literally. The knight takes everything from her, ridding the body of its riches and dumping it when it ceases to be useful. The siren's body floats back from whence it came, unleashing a torrent of blood, symbolic of the bloodshed its people endured. It's only when the knight unknowingly drinks of this blood, the blood that he has shed, does he regain his hearing, making him susceptible to the siren's wail. The siren emerges from the lake now naked and broken. You can see the agony in her face. She lures the knight in, and he, like those before him, lay on the bottom among a sea of dead bodies. There are no winners in this story. The soldiers die and the woman is left alone and broken. It's a tragedy caused by greed. Jabarro is haunting and one of my favorites in the entire Love and Death Robots universe. But what did you think of this season, and which short made the top of your list? I want to know in the comments below.
At the top of
Thanks
my
for
list.
watching, everyone. Be sure to like and subscribe, and for more bad takes, you can follow me on Twitter
Good job,
and Instagram
ThinkStory.
at ThinkStoryYT. Until next time, remember,
This is where I come to jerk off.
What? You're supposed to say Daddy loves you very much. What was that? A nice breakdown from ThinkStory. Make sure you guys go like that video. Make sure you guys subscribe to him. Honestly, go subscribe to ThinkStory. That man is amazing with his breakdowns and his explanations, and he was none other than just amazing with this video. Absolutely explained all in each and every episode. Some that I clearly agree with, and some of them he actually opened my perspective and my eyes, and might have even changed my opinion about, certain ones I, did not like, or certain ones that I did like. So clearly he did his job with this very good explanation. But what do you guys think about none other than ThinkStory, his video explain, or what do you think about my reaction? Make sure you hit the comments down below. But very good, very good. I enjoyed this. I'm glad I watched it, because there were some episodes, these Love, Death, and Robot episodes, they happen so quick. You might not catch on to every subtle thing unless you re-watch these episodes more than just one time. But if you just watch these one time and you binge right through the season and you wrap it up, there's a lot of things you might miss, a lot of subtle things that you might, they might go over your head. But, thanks to this explanation video, there's things I caught on. I was like, oh my gosh, really? that, like, the Night of the Many Dead, I had no clue, like, you can make those comparisons. I mean, a few of them I did know, but some of the comparisons, like, with the the Next to the Wall, I did not see that one, which was quite surprising. And the Jabarro one definitely opened up my eyes, because, as you guys know, I have my finale reaction already uploaded. All of these reactions are uploaded. But the Jabarro one, I clearly did not like out of this whole season 3. It reeled me in, but then it lost me towards the end. But his explanation absolutely changed my mind. It's not the best one still to me, but, you know, looking at it at a different perspective after watching this video, I can truly say that, you know, it's not as bad that I thought it was. I mean, you know, from my review, I thought it was, you know, the worst of the season, but it's not as bad. It's just okay, you know, it's just okay to me. But, you know, a different perspective, a different explanation that was given to me from Think Story, you know, sort of changed my ways of how I thought about the episode before. So if that don't tell you anything, the man's good at his job. He's good at his job, and he's good with this video. But comment down below what you guys thought about Think Story, and, you know, are you subscribed to him? Hopefully you are too, because clearly I am too. But, you know, what you thought about this reaction video. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button for me too as well, because I got more videos on the way. On the way, guys. So much content is coming right at us. I got to give you guys my reaction. I got to give you guys my thoughts and my opinions. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Turn on those notifications so you don't miss out on anything. Anything. Alright, with that being said, guys, I'll see you guys next time in the next reaction video. This is Realer Than Reactions. I am Realer Than Miles. Peace.